Welcome to Coffee with Democrats, a sensible platform for progressive conversations. Coffee with Democrats is a grassroots movement dedicated to hearing from Democrats, candidates, legislators, and friends from all political backgrounds who want great conversations. Coffee with Democrats is committed to increase Democrat voter registration and Democrat voter turnout by making voting more exciting and meaningful. And now here's your host of Coffee with Democrats, Kevin Dawson.
Welcome, everybody, to Coffee with Democrats. We have with us today Madison Horn. Madison Horn is running for the U.S. House of Representatives, 5th District in Oklahoma. She is with us today. She's a great friend of ours, and we can't wait to have a conversation with Madison today about her exciting announcement to run in against Stephanie Bice. So welcome to Coffee with Democrats, Madison.
Hey, happy to be here. And it's so good to see you. I missed you at the launch. I know that you guys had.
Yeah, we did. And we've got a little freeze frame going on too with our computer. So let's see what we can do about getting that fixed. There we go. You're back with us now.
Great.
Right. Yeah, we did have a little session with COVID. We had the vid, both my wife and I. And it was really good. It was, this was not, I say it's really good. This was not the first time we've had COVID, but we handled it much, much better because we are, I call it max boosted. We are max boosted. We've got all the latest boosts, except the latest one that's coming or that should be out. And now we've got to wait 6 weeks before we can get it. But we feel really good. Both Joanne and I are really well. And we also recuperated with a vacation at the end of our 10-day period. We left and went out to Colorado and just had a wonderful, wonderful vacation. And I believe being in the higher altitudes helped us recover from COVID faster. So some of the after effects that we had. So we were blessed, very, very blessed and very good. But let's get back to you and talk about you. Let's talk about, well, this is Coffee with Democrats. So, you know, I normally have a cup of coffee today. I've got a bottle of milk, or excuse me, a bottle of water with me. So what is your favorite coffee of choice when you know you get charged up first thing in the morning?
Sure. So I brought my favorite coffee mug. It's a new coffee mug that I brought for Coffee with Democrats. It's my good friend, Lucas Wilson. It's a kid who actually volunteered on my team last year. He spent his allowance to give me this coffee mug, which I thought was just the sweetest thing. The very first question he ever asked me was, what am I going to do to solve food insecurity for kids? This kid we're all voting for one day.
Yes, exactly. That's a great question. What was your answer?
Oh my gosh, we went into a long conversation around food deserts, what we need to do about ensuring that kids have lunch in schools. I mean, we had a whole conversation about it before door knocking.
Great. So tell us a little bit about your campaign. You made your launch. What was the day that you made your launch?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It feels as if that was a month ago at this point, because things just, you know, as soon as you get out of the gate, then it's a dead sprint in so many ways. But very grateful for the incredible team that I had from last year coming back and so many new folks getting engaged. So we launched the campaign on September 21st. So we are, it was 2 weeks ago from today, 2 weeks ago from today, or wait, 7 days ago. See, this is what I'm saying. I can't remember time.
Well, that's great. And I'm sure there was a lot of exciting people. I'm sorry that we missed it and apologize to you about that, because we were really anticipating and being there with you and participating in your launch. But because of the circumstances, we kind of had to stay back and stay away. But
that is okay.
Why did you decide to run? What was your, I mean, you had such a successful, and I'm going to call it a successful Senate campaign. You ran against our senior senator for the state of Oklahoma, the ne'er-do-well senator for Oklahoma. And you really challenged him in a lot of really good ways. it wasn't the outcome we wanted, but if you're looking at the long term, if you're looking at outcomes that are going to take us down the road, you really improved the outcomes for Democrats. And but after that, you decided that you wanted to continue in public service. So why do you want to run, and what makes you want to jump into the dirtiness of politics again?
Sure. Well, first of all, I appreciate you all just providing the flat platform to help amplify the campaign last year. And my goodness, you guys played such a big role in that. So thank you. We were very proud of the campaign that we ran last year. We were proud because there were so many people across Oklahoma who were just happy about the fact that we showed up in their community, regardless if it was a blue district, a red district, or more of a mixed.
Right.
I can't tell you the number of times that we were told stories like, well, my representative flies here. They don't drive on the same roads. They don't know the problems within the community. I've never met my elected official before. And so it was energizing for us to be doing something in the state of Oklahoma that people hadn't seen. And I think that that's the way that we rebuild trust, is to show up and have those conversations face to face, so that we can get back to what's supposed to be boring politics, individuals who are truly serving. And, to your initial question, why, continue this fight? So many people ask, why am I, running in Oklahoma, or why, or was it even hard? And I would say, sure, it's hard, but, anything at this magnitude is going to be hard, but it's the purpose which motivates us as a team. And I think as a community, to show that, individuals are hungry for courageous leadership. They are looking for individuals to champion the things that they are fighting for within their communities, and the things that they lack within their communities. And so running last year was just motivating more than it was disheartening. And we're not done. We talked about policy changes. I learned new problem sets, and we want to solve those problems.
Yeah, and it's very hard too. You were talking about just the actual running for the position is extremely hard. Not only is it taxing on you physically, mentally, but it's also taxing on you financially. But part of the reasons why it's so taxing is we got to talk about your values. What values do you think our representatives should have, and what values do you think are missing?
Sure. So, let's talk about the current state of politics today. It's incredibly divisive. It seems that it's very ego-driven versus that root word of service, and which is the intent of politicians' role, right? Is to serve. And so, what it looks like if we watched the debates last night, it looks like a bunch of children arguing and bickering back and forth on a playground, trying to score political points for their other team, versus, again, getting to the root cause of whether it's child hunger, or we're talking about the immigration crisis, or we're talking about the lack thereof in our education system. I mean, it doesn't seem like anyone is actually wanting to get to work. So when I talk about, go ahead.
No, you're exactly right. And I was just trying to build upon what you're talking about with particularly here in Oklahoma. We've got so many people who are just trying to get click points. They're just trying to get clickbait and just trying to get, this rally people based on, demagoguery. And it just really is, it's shameful what we're seeing within our current state of politicians. I mean, the failures are just enormous. So let me turn it back to you to continue with your question.
No, it's fine. And I appreciate the statement around clickbait, because it really does seem that individuals are looking to just, boast themselves and, be the next thing that's trending on TikTok or trending on social media. And again, this role isn't supposed to make you famous, right? Why do we have individuals who are, making bukus and bukus of money, again, in a position that is supposed to be service-based. So when I think about the values that I think Oklahomans want to see is courageous leadership that is going to fight for their values and the things that are impacting their table versus, again, the pieces that are clickbait that is just going to get people attention. I think that it is based in passion and honesty and integrity. And I think those things hit at the root cause of what we're missing and why we're seeing this divisiveness, the polarization in politics. And we just need to implement a basic code of ethics again and or hold politicians accountable to it, whether it be, go ahead.
Absolutely. I'm just, yes, I keep everything you say. I'm just saying, yes, yes, yes. I'm your biggest cheerleader at this point.
You have been. It's been fabulous. I can't thank you enough.
But it's kind of funny, and it's so sad in the state of affairs that we have in Oklahoma, where it's we have a group of people that are in power that continue to show divisiveness rather than unity. They want to represent a very small portion of Oklahoma and not all of Oklahoma. And that's so sad that we have that kind of leadership. And in all reality, they're failing Oklahoma as a whole. They're failing their own constituents, that very small group that they pander to, but they're failing the entire state and the entire population of Oklahoma. We could be doing
as if they're holding
so
us hostage, right?
Yeah, we could be doing so much better than what we are right now as a state. We could actually be growing business within Oklahoma, just like they are throughout all of the United States. But because we've got this very small group of people that are so shallow-minded, we're failing, and we're failing horribly throughout Oklahoma. So let's get back to you and talk a little bit more about your past history and what you brought to Oklahoma in your last campaign is one of your biggest strengths, and that's cybersecurity. So how does your career in cybersecurity prepare you to represent Oklahoma?
I appreciate the question. I think my background in cybersecurity has created a lot of confusion in some ways. I know some Democrats, I heard the feedback that, because I work in cybersecurity, that I'm very military focused. And that's not the case at all. It's more so the fact, and it's not that I disregard the military, but it's not that I have served.
Right.
My focus in cybersecurity, yes, has been around national security and foreign policy, but it's also around education. I mean, where we see our workforce, where we see that going, then it's entirely being driven around emerging technology and, how policy is going to influence, the way that, money is being made, the way currency is being exchanged. And so, I think for my background, what it enables me is to bring 21st century leadership to Congress and to Oklahoma to ensure that we're actually fighting and solving the problems of today. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people who bring up, when Mark Zuckerberg was testifying in front of Congress and how embarrassing that was for us as a nation to listen to, individuals who are running our country ask Mark Zuckerberg, how do you make money? And everybody kind of sat back and be like, why is that the question? Why aren't we talking about data privacy? Why aren't we talking about, how to secure these platforms and why are we not talking about the widespread pandemic or epidemic of depression that it's causing and isolationism that it's causing? And, we're stuck in this place of where we need to have individuals starting to retire from politics so that the people who represent us are grounded in the problems of today.
Right.
And understand
exactly
them.
Right. Yes. You're exactly right. Again, I'm applauding everything that you said. It was just so amazing, that you've got such a handle on, cybersecurity and how that impacts not only government, but also business. And if we don't have a good, strong cybersecurity force, then we're opening ourselves up and susceptible to cyber attacks, not only from within, but from outside. So,
and that is going to be the new frontier of war. I mean, I hate to circle back and make that statement, but I think it's a conversation that we have to have when we talk about, the conflict within Russia and Ukraine, and the way that we are seeing our allies, not our allies, we're seeing the shifts in global powers, right?
Right.
The war that we have with China, the Cold War that we are already at with China, is kinetic. It has nothing to do with being on the ground with troops.
Right.
It is through influence campaigns. It is through economic means.
There you go.
And so we have to be having the conversation around what this means in the cyber front.
So I'm going to change, but we're going to stay on the same category. In the last year or so, we've been hearing about this enigma called AI, and AI, it just seems like within the last, I'm just saying, weeks, has exploded. We're seeing new advertising about AI. There's a movie coming out about AI and the dangers of AI. Congress is trying to, make it into the next boogeyman. And so anyhow, let's talk a little bit about cybersecurity and AI and how they've become hot topics and how you're prepared to address those topics in a constructive manner.
Sure. And I appreciate the comment you made about that elected officials are trying to be the boogeyman around it, because it does scare people. And I don't think that we should be fueling that fear. But again, talking about what we can do and how we're preparing for AI, because we're not going to stop innovation, and we shouldn't stop innovation. That's what allows us to evolve as a society. But when we talk about AI specifically, the questions that I get is, and it's basic, and I'm going to repeat this a number of times, I'm sure, but it's, what is it going to do to our workforce? Because people want to understand, how are they going to continue to pay for the utility bills, pay for the food that they put on the table, put gas in their car. And so they're asking, what is this going to do? How do we prepare this evolution, this shift in our workforce that is very similar to the industrial age, right?
Right.
And so, the questions that we should be discussing is, how is this going to evolve our education system? What does that curriculum look like? What are the new jobs that are going to be emerging? And how can we bring people up and ensure that we are not just diversifying the workforce, but we don't leave anybody behind as we are progressing. But it's not just the workforce. It's also, we already understood or have understood in the way that we've, crafted laws, or companies have created policies, that we always leave someone out. And so when we're talking about AI driving so many of the decisions or influencing so many of the decisions that we make, then we need to ensure that in the development process, that AI is being looked at and built by all demographics across the spectrum. And not just that, but what are the values that are actually going to be, embedded into AI, and who is that going to be representing? And that's also been a big conversation in this space, because when we talk about AI here in the United States, or we talk about it in places like Europe, then we have access to the same systems. But within China, they're building their own AI that's entirely blocked out from the rest of the world. And so it is just continuing, and dare I say the word, indoctrinating into a different set of values that are against necessarily Western values. And so, what does that mean for us as a society? And what does that mean and impact us as Americans?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it is a strange new world. There's no doubt about it. So we've got to talk about you're running for Congress. There is a process in Oklahoma. There's a process throughout the United States. And one of those processes is we're going to go into the primary. Mm-hmm. And at some point during the primary, you may have a Democrat opponent. Is there a Democrat opponent that you know of at this point that wants to run for the same office?
Sure. And let me first off say anyone who runs for office, I have respect for. I've
Sure.
already addressed this process is not easy. And so I applaud anyone. And whether it's someone who, chooses to run in this race against me or someone who runs in another race, if anyone reaches out and wants to have a conversation of how does this process work, what
Sure.
lessons learned, then I am open because it is hard.
Right.
Currently, there is no one that is running against me.
I see.
And I think, if I was to be like respectful again of anybody else in this playing field, we ran against 7 people last year in the primary. And because of the fact that we have the infrastructure in place, we have the momentum, we put in the work, then we were able to clear that field and those hurdles pretty easily. And so, what I think right now is what we need as Democrats is really unity, because that's what this is going to take is unity across the Democratic platform for us to get out and say, hey, we're in this together.
Absolutely. And that's a part about I've always loved about your campaigns. You've always been the person who says, all right, we're all Democrats here. At the end of the day, we're going to put our arms around one another and we're going to hold each other up instead of tearing each other back down and dismissing people. And that's what I've always loved about your campaigns. And that kind of brings me to the next question that I have about the last Democrat House of Representatives member for House District 5 was another Horn, wasn't Madison Horn. But have you had any relationship or have any other conversations with now my mind just slipped. I can't get Madison out of my mind, but the previous Representative Horn, have you had contact with her about how she was able to not only successfully with her campaign, but how she managed herself once she was elected?
Sure. So kind of pulling at some of the conversations that you had leading up to this question, I'll get to it. Talking about the importance of unity and the fact that at the end of the day, we're all, as Democrats, going to wrap our arms around one another. That's how it should be. We don't have to agree on every single issue, and we're not going to. And honestly, that's healthy. That allows for us to be this like big party or big tent Democratic Party, which we should be, right? Because we need to be the party that is grounded in logic and truly looking to solve big problems. And so, one of my team members says, Oklahoma Democrats, like, we are fierce and we are hungry, but we are very quick to eat each other. And like, that's something that I saw last year. And I think that we have to change our momentum and really think about, again, our purpose. Again, we're going to have different and maybe opposite views on issues, but at the end of the day, we are fighting to make an impact here in the state of Oklahoma and move it forward, ensure that we are not a one-party state, because it's not how collaboration happens.
Right.
But when you bring up the previous congresswoman who held this seat and the similarities in our last name, it certainly created confusion last year, which, for good or for bad, but her and I did sit down. I like I said in the beginning, I appreciate anyone who runs for office, and for someone as a woman who runs for office, we have different challenges. And so, before I even announced my campaign, then I made sure to sit down with her to show the respect that I had for her, for what she accomplished, and honestly just look for tips and, ask for her perspective. And so I appreciate the time that she provided. She's very busy, so it's not as if by any means of the imagination that we talk every single day or every single month or on a regular basis, because I'm sure she has other aspirations as well, outside of CD5. Right. So, but folks on her team, I mean, it's a small Democratic volunteer network, and I think everybody is taking lessons learned from campaign successes and failures and really trying to figure out what we can do to ensure that we're showing up and having those conversations about what Democrats are going to represent in Oklahoma.
And I just remembered her name, Kendra Horn. So I'm going to apologize to her for that lapse that I had there for a little bit. But she, like you said, she is such an awesome individual, and she does have other aspirations, and we're going to have a conversation with her sometime in the future, and kind of revisit each other. But that's for another time. We're here to talk about Madison Horn at this point. And I am getting some little buzzes that are coming in on my phone. We do have people watching us live, and they are sitting down.
Great.
So I want to welcome everybody who is listening in to Coffee with Democrats this morning. We are with Madison Horn. Please go ahead and share widely the link that you have on your Twitter or on your YouTube or on Facebook. Forward that to your friends and let them know. Come on over and watch the rest of this. We've got about another 30 minutes that we're going to talk with Madison, and we appreciate all of the listeners and Coffee with Democrats coming on. And we hope that this new format that we've got is something that can spread and grow. X has been a very very difficult place to be. But we're still going to have an umbilical to that, and we really are excited about the new opportunities that we have with this new format using Zoom. So I see Steve is over there. Steve, do you have a question?
Hi, Steve.
Good morning, Madison.
Hi.
Great to see you.
You too, my friend.
Hey, just got more of the political questions here, perhaps to ask regarding the CD5. What it looks like now, what it looked like before when Kendra Horn ran. On a positive note, it seems like you've got some something that'll work, some things that'll work to your strength, because there's been an increase in rural areas in CD5. And it goes all the way up to right underneath Cushing, all the way down to Holdenville.
That's right.
You've got some, are you going to be communicating? Is the Seminole tribe inside of this CD5? Okay.
It is just a little bit.
Yeah. In Chickasaw also?
That a little bit as well. That's right.
Okay. Not the Cherokee though, right?
And not the Cherokee. And unfortunately, I'm so sad Pahaska is not in this district.
Well, we were talking with, which is also kind of relevant to this, because we were talking with Arturo Alonso Sandoval the other day, and I just assumed that they were still in CD5. They're in the southwest part of Oklahoma City. He said, no, we're in CD3. So now I say, well, we're neighbors, right? So unfortunately that got cut out. But I just ask you to give your thoughts about what you're facing, what the challenges might be, to the extent you want to provide them, and also, again, what your strengths might be in this, because they always try to gerrymander these things, and then a candidate like you come along, it's like, maybe we didn't do this right, because we got a candidate that might actually, work through this on the Democratic side. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on that last piece, let me be very clear. We're going to do this. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it is a message that we are going to spread wide and far. We focused on an entire state, right? Number of times, right? We slept out in the tall grass prairies in our Sprinter van. I was going to go on a tangent of our awesome family gatherings up there. But anyways, so we're honing in, right? We're honing in into a single district. And even despite our efforts last year, we moved every single county more blue. And let me say that again, we moved every single county more blue in a statewide office or a statewide campaign in the state of Oklahoma. That is a huge success metric. Not just that though, this district, then if we look at the other incredible women, other candidates that were running statewide offices, then we had the gubernatorial candidate, Joy Hoffmeister, who won this district by 30,000 votes. We have a Gina that won this district by a little under 20. And we were just under about 5,000 votes from winning this district. So what that tells me, this is a swing district. What we have to do is ensure that people get out to vote, people know, what we stand for, what we're going to fight for, and the fact that we are here to represent everyone. Yes, we are sitting here and we are representing Democrats. Obviously, with Coffee and Democrats, I'm wearing my blue jacket to, give you guys a little nod. But this is to represent Republicans, independents, libertarians who feel left behind in the current political apparatus, or who are frustrated because of the fact that we have individuals running for office who do not stand for their own values, right? Who have just become, I'm going off on a tangent, I'm getting passionate, guys, that are becoming parrots, honestly, of a party. And so when we talk about this district, like my strengths, pulling on that cybersecurity background, I'm very data focused and understanding where voters are, how we need to strategize as it relates to our ground game. And that is going to be one of our driving forces, and ensuring that we are leveraging modern technology to modernize the way that we campaign. And I think that that's the way that we get this done. But this district is very winnable, and you're going to see many seats flipped this cycle across several different platforms.
Well, of course, last year you ran statewide, and now you've got physically, you don't have to do that. Of course, are there some lessons that you learned from the statewide race that there's always lessons to learn in a campaign?
Always. Yeah. Like, where do we start? So we were a lean, mean machine. And I always kind of like make the joke that our campaign was ran off of like hope, coffee, and like barbed wire, because it really was like a skeleton crew. And, I tried to run my campaign and be the candidate. And that's hard because I can't be fully present and prepared for some conversation. So, I'm very grateful for the fact that I've been able to build this amazing team, and we've been able to pull people in that have really just helped taking the weight off. So I can't express how grateful I am for that. I was new to politics. I know how to communicate and talk about problems within the business world, within the world of cybersecurity. But in the world of politics, it's very different. The language they use is different. The word choice is different. And so I had to find my voice in this space. And I think that didn't necessarily come out as much in the last campaign, because I was still trying to find my own tone, if that makes sense. And so I'm looking forward to showing Oklahoma more of who Madison Horn is. Let's see, people talk about how much money you need in politics. I really want to push back on that narrative. Now, don't get me wrong, my team deserves to get paid a livable wage. They deserve to be, supported and ensure that they don't have stresses in their lives. But I don't believe that races need $7-8 million. And so I would say that some of the things that our scrappy campaign tactics, techniques, I definitely want to pull that into this campaign. And we're already doing that to ensure that we're just being good stewards of, donors and supporters of this campaign.
Well, it's going to be a more expensive campaign, I presume, because it's for such a higher level office. And what I'm hearing you say is you're going to have more of some professional staff, not to speak about the other part of the staff that's going to be lean and mean, but that you're going to have more professionalism, perhaps. That's going to cost more money, but that's going to take weight off your shoulders so that you can really, get into the fight here, if you will. You've got, of course, a website, MadisonHorn.com, and we want everyone to know that you do need funding, just like everybody else.
Sure,
funding,
certainly.
and you need continuing funding like anybody else. So that's what I hear you saying, that it's going to be more expensive. You've budgeted that out, I'm sure, about what.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and then have you brought on someone that you can speak to that's going to help you, get to this next level, or is that something that you want to share later on down the road in terms of a campaign manager?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the questions, because I think this is probably the parts of of campaigning, or just, when folks run for office, that probably a lot of people don't hear about. They're like, who runs a campaign? Like, how does this work? Right. This campaign is so personal to me that I'll probably never get out of the weeds. And it's just because it's so important to me. And so, I don't want to say more professional staff. I would say just more staff. How many times did you see just me, Frank, and Jake roll out of that van, right? And there's so many things that go on in the back end, managing social media, ensuring that our ads look good, ensuring that our email communications and our newsletter and all the communications behind the campaign are streamlined and being managed appropriately. That takes a lot of work. And we had amazing folks who did it in the back end, but we were lean. And so it was difficult for us to really get our message out there. And so we've just hired additional staff that can really kind of take the weight off the operational team that'll be with us on an every single day basis.
Okay. So then it sounds like you're going to maintain yourself as the direct manager, but you're going to have more people working for you that you can assign tasks to, and they'll take the weight off your shoulders. And that's the campaign you're going to run for now.
I don't want to say I'm running it, because I don't think that's fair to the folks who've brought onto the campaign, but we will hire someone in the campaign manager role probably early next year. And that's very typical because we are 13 months away. And so the first pieces that you kind of need around the campaign is really those comms pieces, the help from a compliance and finance pieces to make sure that, you're operating within certain boundaries, right? And so, you run it a little lean until you get a little bit further along in this process.
No, that's fair. And also, all of the individuals I came in contact with your campaign last year, they were just all great. They were all energized. They were top notch. So you've already got that foundation laid, and you're going to add that extra layer. It sounds like next spring at the appropriate time.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. We're already so excited about the folks who have come in to the campaign. Folks from campaigns that I already mentioned. That were other statewide races who have come in, and folks who've reached out. So certainly we'll bring more people on, because it's going to take, I hate to say an army, but a village of people for us to get this done.
Now, going back to speaking about Washington, D.C. and the dysfunctionality there, and we all hope that the government's not going to be shut down, but it's increasingly looking like that's going to happen. There's a lot of government contracts and government jobs in your district that is going to provide you with opportunities. And again, not hoping that becomes the case, but it looks like it it will. And I'm sure you've thought through some of those things. That's going to provide some opportunities for you to point out the dysfunctionality of the Republican caucus, and not just Vice, but the whole caucus that operates together and doesn't seem to, it gravitates more toward the clicks, as Kevin was talking about, way more than it does toward the needs of the people.
Yeah. And obviously what you're talking about is this looming government shutdown that we have. I think that we're 2 days away, and what we're seeing is individuals holding the government hostage based on, political grandstanding. And it's unfair. And that word might sound childish, but how do you communicate to, I don't know how individuals sleep at night saying that, oh, I'm not going to do this because my team needs to win in November, right? And so, how do you justify to the hundreds and thousands of workers that you are going to furlough, that you're asking to still come to work and not get paid, who, don't have large wages in the first place? And so to me, it's at the crux of the problem of politics. It's back to ego and ensuring that your team gets points, and just the lack of service and empathy that we don't have right now in politics. It's very selfish, and we need to move the country forward. It's not as if we knew that the budget was coming and we're blindsided by it. So why haven't we been getting to work to figure this out, and that we're waiting 2 days before? I think what I would like to see is, let's say that they don't get paid until they figure this out. That's what I would like to see.
Well,
That would be
absolutely correct
wonderful.
on that.
Hey, Kevin, instead of two old guys trying to corner Madison here, how about if Samantha comes on and asks a few questions?
Samantha, you corner me.
Yeah, let's see if she's available. She may not be able to join us right now. She is the office manager where she's working, and she's working right now. So if she has availability, she'll jump in and ask questions. And I'm just gonna have that shout out for her if she has that availability. So let's talk a little bit, a couple of things about this shutdown that have me really bothered is the fact that we've got a very small group of extremists who are holding our Speaker of the House hostage. And really their whole focus is on burning down the entire government. They want to take away every entitlement away from the normal people, and then give massive amounts of tax money to the rich. And that's I mean, I can't put it any different terms. I mean, those are the straight facts. They don't want to admit that, but that everything that they put out is saying that. And just for anybody who's listening in, the people that are in that caucus, that are in that extremist minority, there's several of them are part of the Oklahoma caucus, including Stephanie Bias. And that's the person that you're going to be running against. And I was just going down through her list of votes, and you know, the no votes that she has for our VA, for our military, for our infrastructure, the no votes that she had that would have caused extreme harm in our state and continue to set our state back. And the only benefit that we have is that she failed. These things were passed, even though she voted no for them. And could we only imagine how bad Oklahoma would be if we didn't have this internet that's coming on board, if we didn't have infrastructure that's creating thousands of new jobs in the state of Oklahoma that was brought to the state of Oklahoma by Democrats. So, you know, it just, to me, it's so amazing that she wants to burn everything down and harm her own constituents. I can't get beyond that. And that's the part that I'm going to be telling all my neighbors the facts about what she's doing and the harm that she's causing. And we've got to get somebody in there who will do the good work of democracy and for our democratic republic to continue to bring it everything to all Oklahomans, and not just a very small elite group of people, because this girl has been given a silver spoon through her marriage and has everything that she ever wants. And so that was my rant for the day.
No, it's okay. We all get very passionate. You almost heard me go off on some tangents myself. But, you know, I think what we need is individuals who can, you know, walk the talk, right? You know,
exactly.
You can say whatever you want during a campaign election cycle to ensure that you get elected, but it's the execution that matters. You know, you can't just say that, oh, I want to compete against China, ensure that we are America first, and then vote against the CHIP Act. That would have made us independent, at least a little bit further, more independent of China, and allowed us to develop very important microchips here in the United States. You cannot say that you want to build up our critical infrastructure, ensure that we have a strong critical infrastructure, and then vote against the infrastructure bill. That you are right. I mean, when I was going around to, you know, rural areas and cities and small cities as well, then everyone said, the infrastructure bill. I mean, have you seen the roads here in Oklahoma?
Exactly.
You know, when we talk about cutting sales tax and, you know, not giving money to small towns through, you know, state agencies, then what you're doing is you're taking away from us ensuring that we have clean drinking water, that we have good roads, that we have good, strong public education. And, you know, I know this conversation isn't about it, but I am going to take it there just a little bit. And I just got a notification. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
All right, fantastic. I think my single AirPod has died, so I'm just going to continue going here. You know, when we look at the way that Stitt is running Oklahoma, it's like a bad business.
to ensure the health of a business, then you have to invest. And that's just basic practices. And when you see that lack of investment, then you see areas start depleting, like economic opportunity. You start seeing higher increases of, crime. You start seeing, a number of things that are helping, our state governments, our states run and function. And so if you are going to be an elected official position, you have to be able to execute on both your values and what you say when you are running for office. And that's what's missing today in politics.
Yeah, and it goes back. So basically what I was saying earlier is Stephanie Bice doesn't give a damn. And that brings me to something that I'm seeing on your webpage. And that is the fact that it's time for politicians to give a damn. I mean, you just straight talk this all the way into this. And I'm so proud of you for doing that. I mean, it's just amazing to me. It's time politicians give a damn about Oklahoma and not their own, personal back pocket and the very small group of people that she represents. So I'm so proud that is your straight talk and straight way of addressing it. And so let's talk a little bit more about where do you think Bice is failing Oklahomans?
I think that we've talked about this a little bit. I think the biggest piece is the fact that, she says one thing and then does something completely different.
Yeah.
And, for us to move forward, we do have to see some type of bipartisanship. I think that is our responsibility as elected officials. And we're just not seeing that. And things like, here in Oklahoma, us having the strictest abortion laws in the nation and what that is doing to our health system, what that is doing to women across the state, then she continues to go far right on this issue with no exceptions. And that's dangerous. It's very dangerous to go to just a far extreme on any issue. And so I think that her biggest harm to Oklahoma is the fact that she is not standing up and fighting and giving a damn about Oklahoma.
Oh man, that's a powerful statement, and I appreciated you saying that, and hope you can use that in your commercials because that's something that the rest of Oklahoma needs to hear in a straight manner. I mean, it's like Truman, the buck stops here, and that's exactly what you're, the mentality that you're putting and bringing into this office. So let's talk a little bit more about Madison Horn. We're down to 10 minutes. So this is crunch time. What are the critical issues that you want to champion? I mean, we've talked a lot about AI. We've talked a lot about cybersecurity, but are there other issues that really are near and dear to your heart? And I'm going to kind of lead you a little bit here.
Sure.
You are Cherokee. So we've got issues in the state of Oklahoma with making sure that our tribes have recognized sovereignty. In the state of Oklahoma, we have an education system that is crumbling underneath of the most failed superintendent the state has ever had, who is more interested in clicking than he is actually serving the students and the children of this state. And he's more involved in spreading hate. We've got a governor who wants to actually dissolve the compacts and really harm Oklahomans, and particularly our First Americans. So what are, again, some of the critical issues that you want to champion, and how do you think that you can best accomplish that? So, that might lead into another question about what, when you are elected, I'm going to say when you're elected, what kind of assignments do you want to be given?
Sure. So we'll talk about the issues and then we'll kind of roll into the assignments piece. I think that'll round this out here. Last year, first off, I think it's important to recognize that, let's talk about things that came about like COVID-19. If you would have talked to a candidate in, October of 2019, you would have not been able to predict that COVID-19 was going to be, as big as a problem that it caused, right? And so I think something that's important for me to say is the fact that, I can say that my issues that I want to run on are X, Y, Z, but we have to stay agile and understand that, the problems of today are those of today. And tomorrow it's unpredictable. But what we are seeing today is, clearly a crumbling education system here in the state of Oklahoma. And I would say much more broadly, when we see that the statistics for math scores and reading scores are at an all-time low. And so that's going to be a problem of tomorrow that must be addressed. I am the product of public education. My father was an ag teacher. My grandmother was a cafeteria lady. Other grandmother was also a school teacher as well. And so, my love for education is been rooted in both my values, and I know that it is a way for us all to bring ourselves up and to bring our society up as a whole and to move us forward. And so we have to fix our education system, but also look at alternative ways that we can invest, whether that be vocational schools or, alternative ways to bring our society up and ensure that we are preparing our kids for jobs of the future. We already talked about AI. And so, that just brings in the next issue of workforce development, ensuring that we're preparing individuals and creating a strong economy and creating a diverse economy here in the United States and here in Oklahoma. But we cannot ignore things that, we have aging critical infrastructure. We're not completely energy independent, and we do need to get there. And we need to get there because of the tensions across the globe that are going to continue to boil over. It's not something that we're going to be able to solve. But we also have to recognize the fact that there are climate goals that we need to focus on while we also look to become energy independent. And we can do those things. They do not have to be competing priorities. And that's a point that really frustrates me. We also have to look at the fact that, fentanyl is the leading cause of death right now, with 200 people dying a day. It's something that I've had someone pass away in my life that's been close to my circle. So this is something that I'm certainly going to be championing when we talk about, immigration, when we talk about border security and what that means for our state, what that means for our economy as a whole, and what we need to be doing. And how we hold China accountable. 98% of fentanyl is produced in China and then comes through the US border and through cartels and various other means. And so we've got to get a grasp on this. We absolutely have to. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
So, Madison, you're hitting on all the right buttons as far as I'm concerned, of course. Biden has done a heck of a lot, and you alluded to this in terms of like the infrastructure bill. So you can go to a Holdenville or a Shawnee, and you can point to projects that are being funded, and you'll have a lot of people go, I didn't know, because they're not watching a news media that reflects that. One of the things that boggles my mind, and I can imagine that this would be an issue that cuts across the whole district, cuts across all of Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a poor state, and that's the child tax credit. And I was listening to a report on NPR a couple of weeks ago about how a pediatrician was talking about how she could see the damage that was being done to these children by their health had diminished. She could see these individual cases, and you just know that that's happening in CD5, and you know that there's probably a number of those parents that maybe they don't even vote, maybe they're not registered, but this is something that can really, it really cuts across, and it's something that's so much more understandable, let's say, than climate change or the war in Ukraine and all those other kind of things. So I just leave it at that you got a lot of opportunities to speak to what you would do when you get to Congress.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you brought in the importance of, taking care of our families. And that's all the way from, prenatal care to NATO care to paid family leave, which is going to be a major problem with all the different cuts that are going to be happening. And so what are we doing to ensure paid family leave? And, we could go on, and I know that we don't necessarily have another hour to sit here and talk about it, but we have to ensure that we're protecting and taking care of our families, and it's certainly a conversation that will be had. And we're going to be doing that by, again, taking the same mantra from last year. Every campaign, every minute is a campaign minute, and that is an opportunity for us to show up in communities, knock doors, hold meet and greets, town halls, and that's what you'll be doing. So there'll be so many opportunities for individuals to reach out to us. We're at some point going to be launching virtual meet and greets. And so, if you don't want to leave your house, if you want to, keep your house shoes on after a long day at work, then you can Zoom in and ask any questions that you want, because it's important that individuals feel confident, feel a sense of trust with the people that they're electing.
All right, we've got just a couple of minutes left. We've got to talk about some critically important information right here. Let's talk about your ActBlue account. How can people help you? And let's talk about your webpage, how people can join in on your campaign and join your campaign to actually spread the good word of what Madison Horn is going to do for the state and the citizens of Oklahoma. So starting with that, I appreciate the plug.
Yeah, I appreciate the plug. And, we've already talked about this. The dirty part of politics is the fact that it does take money. And my team needs the support of the community. And so there it is. So if you believe in the mission, if you believe in what we're doing and want to join us, then you can go to MadisonHorn.com. There are opportunities to volunteer. There are opportunities to donate. And I think yesterday I saw a donation come in for a $1.13. And that's amazing.
That is great.
Because that's what that person could contribute. And that helps us so much. I mean, if 100 people donate $1, that's $100 for us to buy. Maybe it's a Google ad, maybe it is signs and shirts for our team, and so everything helps. So you can go to MadisonHorn.com, or you can, I feel like a commercial or an ad or Vanna White. You can follow us along on social media, of course. So Twitter, Instagram, Threads, or I guess it's X now, but Threads, it's all MadisonHorn.ok.
Yeah, and Kevin, we may be two old guys, but we're not hypocrites, and we've both given to Madison's campaign already. And I think it was more than $1 each, but
we have
put down the dollar contribution.
And that's going to be full exposure on my part and confession that we do give directly to your campaign, and it is something that I'm proud of, and it's something that I hope other people that are listening to this and watching this will also take pride in helping a true patriot and a true Oklahoma citizen, somebody from the Cherokee tribe. We really want to push that this is a true Oklahoman, and not just somebody who is trying to, I'm going to slam Stephanie Bice all day long about, she's not a true Oklahoman. She's born with a silver spoon, and she doesn't believe in the values of the Oklahomans. And we need somebody who believes in the Oklahoma standard, and that's Madison Horn. So I want to thank everybody for coming on. Madison, you've been awesome, amazing. What a great conversation. We're going to have to do another one of these, because we're going to have to do more comprehensive questions that are going to be more extensive, and we're going to, because we can't just do them all in 1 hour. We're going to have to do this again so that we can cover some other topics. But we really appreciate you coming on to Coffee with Democrats, and we're going to continue to spread the good word of Madison Horn and how people can help and what you're going to do to help Oklahoma. So thank you for coming on Coffee with Democrats, and we're looking forward to the next opportunity, and not only online but in person, and doing what we can to help you secure not only the nomination but secure the vote. So that's going to be the next thing, is get out the vote, make sure that people get out and vote for you, and that's coming up November of 2024.
November 5th.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's still a delight to see you. Love seeing all the great artwork in your office, Steve. I hope to be up there soon. And just thank you guys for what you guys are doing.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
We
guys.
greatly appreciate you. All right. We have a outstanding show today that is going to be put out on the StreamYard again. We're going to rebroadcast this several times. Next Tuesday, 10 a.m. Don't miss this, because this is going to be another great opportunity with Coffee with Democrats. We have a special host that's going to be hosting on Coffee with Democrats, and that's former chief of the Osage tribe, Jim Gray, is going to be the host of Coffee with Democrats, and he's going to have a great panel of candidates, not candidates, but of people that represent our First Nations. And he has got a great program set up, and we're looking forward to that opportunity to work with him and to be able to use our platform in order to help the First Americans. And I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's talking about tearing down some of the walls that take place for Native Americans, and we want to make sure that people come on and listen to that. Again, that's 10 o'clock on Tuesday, and then that will be rebroadcast on Thursday at 10 a.m. as well. So we're looking forward to that. We've got other people that we're reaching out to come on to Coffee with Democrats, and we've had so many amazing people come on Coffee with Democrats, and our grassroots program is still continuing to grow. So thank you, everybody, for listening in. And until the next time, next Tuesday, 10 a.m., let's please be safe. Thank you.